Welcome to the Vale
Matters
podcast, brought to you by Evesham Notice Board Group.
We will explore topics from local politics and economy to education and events dedicated to Evesham, Pershore and Broadway.
We will also feature stories from everyday people to learn about their experiences and get a better understanding of how our community is changing.
So join us.
Let's talk about the things that matter in the Vale.
Hello and welcome to the 12th episode of the Vale Matters podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for the support and the comments that we've had in our previous episodes. So today we're really lucky to have two local people that some of you will know, Mick Hurst from the Battle of Evesham, one of the the main event organiser, and Ashley Jones from the Almond Museum. And so we're going to have just a chat about history. It's going to get quite historical, I think, today, and I might learn a thing or two about our town. So first I'm going to talk to Mick. Mick Hurst is an award-winning event organiser, and he has helped put Evesham, not just Mick, but Mick and his team have helped put Evesham back on the map by harnessing the power of history through the Battle of Evesham. It's actually, it depends when you're listening to this podcast. You might be listening to it after the 3rd or 4th of August? Yeah, so you might be listening to it after, but the main battle is around the 3rd and 4th of August, the first weekend of the August holiday, I would say. We see in Evesham, we see thousands of visitors from, I would say all over the country, but in fact we know it's all over we have visitors worldwide come to visit this event. So we are very lucky in Evesham to have Mick and his team of volunteers, including his dedicated wife Sue, who has really helped fly the flag for our historical town and the history behind it. It's no easy feat putting on these events every year, and it's not just one event. I think there's 3 in total. Mick's going to explain a bit more. I won't keep ranting on. Mick is not just the event organiser, he's also an established director for Abbey Gates Media, which is a graphic design and marketing agency. Yeah, and also trustee for the Abbey Trust. Yeah, and also part of Evesham Place Board. And more recently, I think I see you on Visit Worcestershire board. Yeah, to help support and get Evesham Place on the map for events and places to visit in the UK. So that's Mick, and I should have done the quick fire questions that I did first, but shall we do the quick fire questions first? Okay. So we'll do them with you both. Yeah. So, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be an architect, and I even went so far as to ask my careers advisor at school which A-levels I needed to take.
Wow.
They told me, just take 4, because I didn't know much. I took 4 A-levels, went for an interview at Sheffield University for architecture, and I got completely the wrong set of A-levels. I passed them all, and I took graphic design up as a backup subject. And
that explains a lot.
I just fell into graphic design. I loved the art of persuasion, which is basically designing adverts and persuading people to part with the cash for your customer service. So that's where I started with this persuasive storytelling using imagery, colour, and if need be, sound and vision.
Wow. So Ashley, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
First of all, a teacher, but then I really wanted to be a journalist. I was really inspired by the likes of Kate Adie. I remember watching her, international journalist, reporting from all around the world, and I thought, I'd like to do that. Trouble was my English wasn't good enough, so it's telling a story, isn't it? Which is sort of what you do now. So. Well, it is, but just on a less international scale.
Yeah, you never know. So, would you choose 1265 or 2024, Mick?
2024.
2024.
100%. I've learned a lot about the nasty things that was happening in 1265, and you replace it by what we love and understand and take for granted nowadays, and they would absolutely think you was off another planet. There's no way I'd want to go back to living a medieval life.
No.
Even though I like looking back on it with today's perspective.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley?
Well, as a medieval historian, I'd like a time machine from 2024 to go visit 1265. But then I'd actually prefer to go a little bit later so that I could see Edward I building all his castles, because they were superb.
Wow.
So I'm greedy. I'd like a bit of both.
So you're cheating, really?
Yeah.
You want a time machine. That would be great, wouldn't it? So if you had to choose a drink from those times, is it ale or mead?
I'd probably go for mead because that's got health benefits, and you're looking after the bees, obviously.
I like that. Health benefits, and it's environmentally friendly as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Ale, you can quaff it. You can't quaff mead.
It's quite a strong mead, isn't it?
It is, yes.
I have quaffed mead. I know you really shouldn't.
There's going to be lots of mead. There's lots of mead at the Battle of Evesham, guys, and any of the events that Mick puts on. I must say, I tasted mead at the last one and the market one in May, and it's very strong.
We have some award-winning suppliers of mead who come to our events. They often say that the Evesham events are their favourite of the year.
Yeah, we met guys from. They were actually on Dragon's Den.
Yes, Nick Hodder mead.
That's right. Yes, yeah. So you don't forget to tag them in this. So yeah, we did taste their mead, and it was lovely. And there was some other mead from Tewkesbury as well, which was really nice. So it's nice to have local suppliers as well, isn't it? What would you prefer to be, a royal or a monk in the medieval times?
Personally, I prefer to be royal.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, probably royal.
Yeah.
But isn't a royal in a dangerous seat though, that they get killed and they get...
Yeah, but you get to do all the conspiracy stuff and the stirring in behind the back.
Yeah, it's a bit more fun.
It's going to be way more fun. And monks have to get up way too early.
Do they?
Yeah, way too early, and they go to bed late, and they have to get up in the middle of the night. No,
that doesn't sound like a...
Be a royal, you get servants and things. You have minions.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. If you could wave a magic wand over Evesham, play nicely, what would you do for Evesham? On a positive, this is to have the...
You go first, Ashley.
Okay.
It's a difficult... You didn't expect this question, did you? We always like to throw one in there.
I didn't. And yeah, let's not beat about the bush. We know Evesham has its issues, but it is such a pretty little town. It's really lovely. And working at the Almonry as the Tourist Information Centre.
That's all right. That's just a time machine Mick's got set on his arm. Don't worry. Carry on.
People come into the Tourist Information Centre and we see their first impressions. And they're always commenting about the park and the open space and the river and the buildings. And I think if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to just smarten things up a little bit, because there are some very tired areas of town that need smartening up. Bit more green space in town. I'd like more trees and plants and flowers down the high street. Bring out that pavement cafe culture a little bit more.
Yeah.
Improve things for cycling and walking. Because we do have a congestion problem, and I think one of the ways of solving that is to improve sort of pedestrian and cycle routes into town. But other than that, I think just keep encouraging people to see the positives of Evesham. We all know the negatives.
Yeah.
We're not trying to whitewash negatives, but we need to work together to make Evesham the best town it can be. It's got so much going for it that I think, there's so much opportunity out there, and that's what we need to embrace.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Liquor paint, a bit more green space, and cycling paths is a definite. Would be great. So that's Ashley's magic wand. What would yours do, Mick?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, obviously I'm very engaged in trying to develop the history and heritage of the town, as Ashley is as well. I'd like to develop a full Battle of Evesham visitor centre, and to attract even more footfall into the town, and develop the Battle of Evesham festival into not only the largest 13th century medieval festival in Europe that it is now, but get it onto that regular tourist agenda especially for the visitors to Stratford and the visitors to the Cotswold. Because Evesham's a beautiful venue. It needs and deserves to be seen to be that.
Yeah.
So once we've got liquor paint that Ashley was talking about, and we've managed to address the current issues in town, let's get all these visitors in. Let's turn it into a real tourism destination. All the lines of Stratford, all Ludlow, or places like that.
Yeah. So like where Stratford upon Avon's got the place birth of Shakespeare, in Evesham you would have some sort of centre which would celebrate the Battle of Evesham. Is that?
That's correct.
Sort of like the lines of it.
What you've got to consider that before the marketing people in Stratford hooked onto the idea of Shakespeare, Evesham was a much busier tourism destination, especially for the factory units and owners of the workshops in Birmingham. Used to bus all of their workers down to Evesham, not Stratford, for a day out or a holiday.
That's why there's so many Brummies here. I'm guilty.
But I think it's also important that, and no disrespect to Stratford, but if they didn't have Shakespeare, they would be a market town on the River Avon. Sound familiar? Evesham it's got the battle, but it's got so much more than the battle.
It's got the beautiful buildings as well, isn't it? It's got the Abbey.
It's got the Abbey history. We can tie that into the dissolution. We have a handwritten eyewitness account of the dissolution of Evesham Abbey.
Yeah.
That is rare and really special. We have music that we can play that came from Evesham Abbey.
Wow.
This is really special stuff. Okay, we didn't have like Battle of Worcester level Civil War battles in Evesham, but the Civil War came to Evesham. There's lots and lots of stories. There's a real deep, rich heritage without even touching into the Vale and the horticultural, and the influence that Evesham had on horticulture and the importance Evesham and the Vale had in horticulture. So I think it's kind of, have a hook, but spread it out. We've got so much to celebrate about this town. And I think that's something that, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it's something that, if we had a magic wand and waved it for a long time, we could get there.
Yeah. I believe it will do.
Not many people realise that Evesham Abbey was probably the third largest abbey in the country in its heyday, and the fifth richest diocese in the country. Yeah. So it's a massively important seat of religion and wealth in the medieval times. And unfortunately, that all got a little bit washed away when Henry VIII
as people say, how times have changed. It's not what it used to be, is it?
Definitely not, 700 years ago.
So, in answer to horticultural, so asparagus or cabbage, what would you choose? What's your favourite? This is a test for how Evesham are you.
See, I don't eat meat, so I like both. I suppose if it was...
You had to choose one.
Asparagus.
Oh, that's good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It depends if it's seasonal or not. I won't get asparagus out of season, whereas you can get cabbage all year round. So I'm going to go in season, asparagus, out of season.
Well answered. That's first. You're the first person who said that. So I'm going to go back to Mick. We've done our quick fire questions, and we were just wanted to sort of to the listeners out there, if you're new to Evesham, if you haven't had time to look at the history, or you don't really understand what the Battle of Evesham is about, maybe Mick and Ashley can explain this to us in simple terms for me as well.
Okay, so the Battle of Evesham in August 1265 was one of the most important battles in political history that nobody knows about. So we're trying as best to tell that story. And this is where Simon de Montfort, who most people have heard of because of the universities, etc., he met his end in a rather sticky, gruesome way. But his concept of representative parliament was given birth, and it continued and was eventually adapted in the later centuries.
So was he the start of Parliament?
So when Simon de Montfort, a year before, caught Henry III at the Battle of Lewes, and took him captive around the country for a year, he invited members from each county to come and represent their county at a parliament. The full parliaments was held, and So that was the start. That was the first time representative parliament was used to run the country. So he held a tenure of basically rule in the country for a year until he came to Evesham. And overnight, they marched past Pershore, came to Evesham, stopped for breakfast and prayers, morning prayers in the massive
I love the detail.
In the massive Evesham Abbey with his army of basically many Welsh mercenaries, as much as anything. And they met a royal army which was a lot bigger than theirs, a lot better equipped and a lot more well trained, led by Prince Edward, who then went on to be Edward I, Hammer of the Scots. So he cut his teeth at Evesham and he basically massacred the Baron's army. Monarchy was restored, but the concept of representative parliament of de Montfort's was kept. And then that's how we've now got the House of Commons, if you bring it all the way through to modern day.
Why is this not a film? It should be a film, really, shouldn't it?
I am trying to get the attention of a lot of film producers, and I've written to quite a few of them.
Well, if any of them are listening, you never know. Get in touch with Nick.
If you consider Culloden battlefield, Culloden is a battlefield in the middle of Scotland. It's an hour's drive from the nearest conurbation. They get 500,000 visitors a year to walk the battlefield. 350,000 of them paid an entry fee to go into the visitor centre there. That's really off of Braveheart.
Yeah.
So we get a film of the quality of Braveheart, hopefully a little bit more historically.
Please, I was going to say, please don't get a film like Braveheart. Yeah. It was atrocious.
But of the popularity of Braveheart.
The popularity, not the
historically, Ashley knows that was not correct. And she was triggered all the way through it.
Let's try and make.
So if you're going to make a film about the Battle of Evesham, please have Ashley on the job here, because she's going to make sure it's correct.
I think we'll all be looking out for things like plate armour and things which wasn't invented near the Battle of Evesham. So stuff like that. But if we can get somebody on board of that sort of calibre of a director, and also I've got the interest of the historic TV presenters who do documentaries and things. So I've written to most of them, and quite a few of them have written back saying, "Love to do it. This is how we go about commissioning me to do this." Yeah. So it's all about cash at the end of the day. Yeah, but we will get
listen. You know. It's the growth of the Battle of Evesham, the event itself, and what you've done and the profile that you've raised for it is doing amazing, I think, in the time that you've done it in. So if you could, when did you start the Battle of Evesham? When did that actually?
Well, the first one I did was the 750th anniversary. I was invited as a local designer and businessman to create the brand and the website for the 750th anniversary. Yeah. We've got these assets. So I kept the assets, and then a few years later, after me and Ashley got our heads together and go, we should be doing this as an annual thing. Went to the council, they went, no way, it's far too expensive. But we put it on. We put it on for about a third of the amount of money it takes that the council said.
And in about just under 6 months.
In 6 months' time as well. And we got the same turnout as the previous incumbent had.
So that wasn't me, was it?
No.
And my little one in Workman Gardens.
So so in 2018 when we did the first one, and then we thought, right, okay, this has got legs. It's something to develop, and then we've taken it on now, and this year is actually our 6th one because we
the 6th year. Wow!
Yeah, so it's the 6th year. So we started in 2018. It's now 2040. We actually missed one for COVID. Yeah. But, the rest of them we managed to pull through. Yeah. And we estimate in 2022, the last time it was nice and sunny like this, that we attracted about 35,000 people to the battle. Yeah, that's amazing. 25,000 people came last year in the rain, which was really, really humbling. Yeah. But, a lot of these have made their holiday arrangements around it or come on coaches. So you're still going to come whether it's raining or not.
Yeah, of course they are, because it's it's a once in a year event, isn't it? It's not something, and you can just put an umbrella up or put a mac on anyway. It's not, I wonder what the weather was like in 1265 when the actual battle.
Horrible. It was a thunderstorm.
It was a thunderstorm. Well, there you go. If it's thunderstorms, it's more realistic.
Absolutely.
The more rain, the more realistic it is.
It's documented that when De Montfort went into battle, there was a massive crash of thunder overhead. And
wow!
It was very. It was ominous, shall we say, of the oncoming fate of around 5,000 men that day.
So, for those that don't know as well, it wasn't. I mean, I know the Battle of Evesham was based in the park, and that's for reasons.
Not really.
So it wasn't. No, not the real battle.
Oh, the
event is based in the park.
The festival,
the festivals were based from the town, Market Square, down into the park, and it's celebrated through Crown Meadow and Corporation Meadow. And but actually the real battle, if people are interested, they can follow the trail, can't they, through the town. There's little markers on the ground that saying it takes you up Green Hill. Is that right?
Yes. Up Green Hill there's a strip of land called Battlewell, and that was dedicated by Mr. Rudge, who basically owned Evesham, as the battle site. If you look on the Battlefields Trust website and look for the scheduled ancient monuments, which is identified as the Battle of Evesham, it actually goes from the railway station all the way over Green Hill down to the bypass and almost to the river edges on either side.
Wow. So
all of the north of Evesham from the railway station, you could say, was battlefield. It was the official monument. And obviously Green Hill's been built on, so that's out of the scope of it. But down both either sides of those houses are still original battlefields, still there. And as far as I can find out, we're the only town in Europe that's got an existing battlefield that's undeveloped, unpromoted within a town centre.
So there's another part of the growth of this event, isn't it, that could happen. So what's actually happens at the battles, for those that haven't been and they're thinking of going next year, this year, whenever they go, because this is an annual event, isn't it?
Yeah, so every year we have more or less the same format. So we start off on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. With a grand parade. So this consists of all 735 reenactors, all the horses, and this year we've got 32 mayors and mayoresses from the regional area, so as far as Coventry to Malvern, etc., who recognise the importance of the battle in political sake. So they come as a representative, and they are invited by Robbie, who's Robbie Raphael, who's the Group Mayor of Evesham, so he hosts them. They'll take part in the parade. We'll then have a commemorative service around the memorial stone for De Montfort in Abbey Park, and then down at the actual event site, which is Crown Meadow, Viaduct Meadow, Corporation Meadow, Hamptons Meadow, and Raphael's Meadow.
It's grown, hasn't it?
Yeah, so we've taken over it's a mile and a half from one end to the other.
Yeah.
And we've got so much to see and do, including 150 trade stalls. We've got demonstrations of equestrian. We've got archery. We've got a working trebuchet siege engine.
Really?
Yeah. So there's stuff to see and do all the time. We've got medieval dancers and musicians, and it's have a go archery, have a go axe throwing, have a go dancing if you want to.
Yeah. And I've got to say, I've just got to mention, this is all free, by the way, guys. This is free to attend. Nobody pays. I think, is there parking available? Or?
Yeah, there's parking available on site on Crown Meadow. That is £10 a car.
Yeah.
But it's all day.
And is there disabled access?
There's disabled access, so blue badge parking on there as well, and that's £5 for the full day. Yeah. And all those funds, none of it goes to the council. All those funds for car parking come back to support the festival, because we need those funds to be able to keep it free to enter.
Yes, because this is a massive. I mean, having the reenactors there and having the working villages where the working camps where they reenact what life like, the cooking and living history, and then the battle reenactments, and you've got horses and all these things. They cost a lot of money
It costs a lot of money to set up, and the things like the insurance, the health and safety, the first aid teams, the security teams, all of this lot adds up. Even the toilets and the waste bins.
Yeah.
All of it adds up, and it's not cheap to put on.
No.
We're determined to keep it a community event, meaning that families of any means can come and have a colourful, bright, energetic, entertaining weekend of medieval madness.
Yeah, I
And
like that.
thoroughly have a really good time, and they might learn something about the way they live.
Yeah, and I love that because it is for all ages. And when you see the kids down there trying on the chainmail, or having waving some little swords around, and just watching, or just sitting and watching and eating a picnic, watching the battle, it's lovely. It's a lovely atmosphere. So how can people get involved? Can people support this event, and can businesses sponsor? And is there opportunities for volunteers? Because I know you have a team of volunteers, which
We have a team of over.
I meant to ask you about your volunteers. Actually, they're very important to the Battle of Evesham.
We have a team of over 30 dedicated volunteers, and it simply wouldn't happen without them.
You have your own little army now.
Yeah,
30. That's brilliant. Man.
They put so much effort in, especially over the weekend. But all year, there's things that's happening. We have 4 events a year. So we've got the medieval market in May. We've got the Artisan Christmas Fair in November. We also have a medieval banquet in October, which is ticketed. But the volunteers give up their time. Some of them, like a team of 6, mainly ladies, are in the kitchen washing pots.
Yeah.
All night.
Yeah.
And it's all right for me pouncing around at the front, enjoying myself.
Well, the jester, so
yeah. So it is a lot of hard work for everybody, but they get so much out of it, and they get a free T-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I do like the T-shirts actually.
Yeah. And also any businesses out there who wants to get their name involved in probably one of the most successful events in Worcestershire now, hence winning Visit Worcestershire's Festival of the Year award.
Yeah, and the Love Evesham Award.
And the Love Evesham Award, yes. Well,
rated by the public.
Yeah.
Of Evesham.
So both of those was voted by public, which is enormous compliment. The Visit Worcestershire Festival of the Year Award, we was up against people like the Royal Horticultural Show at Malvern Hills.
That's amazing.
Spring Fair. And just consider their budget, their marketing budget.
Yeah.
It must be enormous.
Yeah.
And for the public to vote us we had twice as many votes as they did in the end result, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all of our committee and spouses went to the award ceremony, and it was the last award of the evening, so it was a little jolly.
Special. And jolly, but well deserved. Really well deserved.
And again, it's down to the volunteers and the committee. Yeah, I come up with some crazy ideas, and they go, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's having that drive to keep going though, Mick. It's not easy to be at the steering wheel of an event, It's and to have the volunteers with you, following you, is just a testament to your skills and to the volunteers, to what they do for our town, for our community.
Yeah. And you mentioned sponsorship. Yes, we'd love any business who wants to see this event thrive and survive. Yeah. To get in touch, mick@battlevision.co.uk.
Yeah.
And
we'll share that as well.
Thank you. We've got sponsorship packages from main headline sponsor, which Carn Deans kindly agreed to again this year. Yeah. So they're headline sponsors this year, right down to put your logo on the back of the shield.
Yeah.
So we've got a full range of sponsorship offers. And also, if anybody just wants to simply donate and they don't want to, great, whatever,
Well, there's people that do just want to support what you do because they can see it's providing something free for families.
And also, if you consider I spoke directly to the Office for National Statistics and given them some figures, and they came back with a value to the local economy of what we're doing over the year for all 4 events. And they said it was roughly £3 million uplift to the local economy. Wow. And you can't buy that sort of.
No, exactly. And we always tell our customers from the Bright Ideas Agency and from my own perspective of Evesham Notice Board, we will always encourage businesses and community groups to harness the power of the Battle of Evesham online. So it is a great, for those that know, an SEO tool. So if you've got a website, add a link to the Battle of Evesham. We've done it. I know Mick is happy with we've created a blog, haven't we? That's a guide to the Battle of Evesham. So we've tried to create our own little guide for them as well. But having that reach out there and having that connection to such a big event, why not
utilise it? I encourage anybody in Evesham to utilise it. I noticed Marilyn's got an event on Saturday night. They've just sort of advertising it based around the Battle of Evesham in cohorts with Nick Hodder Mead.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I didn't know anything
There
about
should
that.
be. I think Starbucks are going to do a burger as well.
Yeah. Well,
Because
I hope they do.
it's-
I want
yeah.
everybody to get involved.
I think that's the point of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is to get everybody involved. And, hats off to you, Mick, for what you do. I don't know how you manage it, how you do all of the events, how you run a business. And, and you've got 2 crazy dogs as well, haven't you? And we see them at the events sometimes. You haven't done at the events as well if it's not too hot.
If it's a little bit cooler than today, they'll be down there. And maybe with their new circuits.
Yeah. Are they volunteers as well?
They are volunteers.
Oh, bless them. So, Ashley, Jen, you're the creator? Is that the right word? Curator?
Officially the manager, but
Officially, but you are a curator of the museum, of the Almonry Museum, and which is also known to some of us as the TIC, the Tourist Information Centre in Evesham. And it is governed by the Town Council, but it's managed by Ashley and her merry little team. And the focus of the museum is to showcase correct me if I'm wrong, but is to showcase the history of Evesham.
Yeah.
And everything that makes Evesham so rich, and the good and the bad and all sorts that's promoted in there. So it's history through the years. And if you haven't been, it is a must. Ashley has not just managed the artefacts, but the team and the museum and the Tourist Information Centre. She's dedicated to ensuring the beautiful Almonry Museum has a secure place in this town's future. She's done this by securing funding, which she'll explain more about, which will see the much needed restoration project over the course of, I think, 3 years. Ashley has also helped champion our town by promoting tourist attractions and events, and she's also part of the Evesham Place Board, and I'm sure many other groups that I'm not aware of, historical groups. If you see Ashley at work, you will see her total dedication to what she does and to our museum. That's our community, guys. So thank you, Ashley, for everything that you do for our town and for being such an integral part of our community. So tell us more about the museum. For those who haven't been, if you haven't been to the Almonry, what would you expect?
Okay, so the museum is housed in the Almonry, which was the home of the almoner, who was one of the monks from the abbey. And it was his job to give alms to the poor. So that could be food, could be medicine, just support for the poor and needy, and also for the people coming to Evesham. So Evesham was a site of pilgrimage. So pilgrims would come, and if they were in need of feeding or looking after, it was the almoner who did that. The building itself, the earliest part of the building we can confidently date is from around 1390.
Wow. So is it like originally like a food bank?
In a crude way, yeah, the medieval welfare state.
Yeah.
So as a Benedictine order, they all took a vow of poverty, but they were sort of the order of St Benedict sort of said that they had to care for others. So that was the almoner's job. That was what he did.
Wow.
And he lived in the almonry, also managed lots of other sort of outbuildings, quite a large part of the abbey estate. And so he gave these alms to the poor, ALMS, not arms as in weapons or anything. We do get asked that a lot. Is it a weapons store? It's not, it's an almonry. So the whole ethos of the building is around caring and giving. And
Isn't that lovely?
And I think that's a
so
really
beautiful.
important part. I think it's a really important part of what we try and do.
And that sums up Evesham to me as well, a lot of the people that are within there.
Yeah. And I think the building itself has got a very calm, peaceful kind of feel to it as well, particularly if you go into the back garden. It's really, despite the fact we've got Abbey Road right next to us, it's a really calm, peaceful space to sit in and just contemplate and ponder.
Yeah. So it's over 2 floors, is it? Over 2 floors, and then you've got and it's quite narrow and it's quite it's creaky.
it's a quirky building. So the earliest part is 1390, but it's been added onto over the centuries. So we've got 15th, 16th and 17th century additions to the building. The bit where the TIC sits now was built in the 1990s.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's a real mishmash of architectural styles and things. So, but it's been a home. It's been all kinds of things. At one point it was 3 cottages. It's been a tea room. It's been
Oh, wow.
a solicitor's office. It was the home and offices of the land agent for the Rudge family.
Yeah.
It was lived in up until the 1970s.
Really?
Because when it became a museum, the town council, or the borough council as they were, actually paid for the caretaker to live in.
Yeah.
So it was lived in up until sort of really recently. So it's always been a home as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of retained that feeling.
It has. It's got, like you say, it has got a very relaxed feeling when you go into the museum. I went in recently. I think you guys gave us a tour. We had a business networking event there. It was a different place to hold one, and it was really interesting. And I really enjoyed reading the police records.
Yes.
In the basement. Is that in the basement?
That's in what we call the civic room. Yeah, we've got a couple of charge books from the early 1900s that list various ne'er-do-wells from Evesham and the antics they got up to. A lot of it is drunk and disorderly, but there is the person who stole the underwear off the washing line and somebody else who stole asparagus out of the farmer's field.
I don't think things have changed much, you know. I think some would agree. It hasn't changed that much, really.
Well, when we're not recording, I'll tell you about Pershaw and the pig.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that sounds
It's not for broadcast.
Need to rate in that one. So tell us, because the museum's going to be closing soon, isn't it? Due to the funding. Could you explain to us about the funding that you've got and how that's going to affect our museum and our tourist information?
Yeah, so the building is in a poor state of repair. There's no denying it. You can tell just by looking at it. And it's taken 3 attempts, but we've finally been awarded £2,175,000 and £500. £500's important.
Yeah.
From Arts Council England through their Museum Estate and Development Fund to basically repair and fix the building.
That's not easy to get that funding. That's no easy feat. Well done.
It took 3 attempts. It took me 3 tries. A lot of grey hair, and I will admit, quite a lot of tears as well.
Oh.
And yeah, it's a Grade 1 listed building, which puts it in, and it's on the Heritage at Risk Register, which puts it in like the top 4% of buildings
in the UK.
In the UK, yeah,
wow.
In this country. So it's really important. It's really significant, and this money is going to save the building. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
The work is extensive. We've got to replace all the roofs. We've got to repair the timber frame. We've got to replace all the infill panels. We've got to do all the rainwater goods, fix the doors and the windows, replace all the heating and the lighting, sort out the drainage, put in some new toilets.
Sounds like my first house so far.
and that's just phase 1.
Wow. And I wonder what you're going to find as well when you take out some of those panels and some of those, secret.
Well, this is the interest. That's what I'm.
That's the exciting. That's what you want to get on the job, don't you?
When the scaffolding goes up, you start poking around inside. What are you going to find?
I'm not going to be surprised if I see Ashley walking around town with a hard hat on and workman clothes.
I've already been up the scaffolding several times while we've been doing the investigation work. But yeah, it's essential that we get this work done. Yeah. Otherwise,
it's a shame that it has to close.
It is, but we can't.
But it's so important for the future.
Yeah, and we can't have people going in there whilst the roof's off.
No.
So unfortunately, the building will be scaffolded and will be shrouded, but that's a necessity.
Yeah.
We've already had some of the best experts in the country working on this building, sort of helping with the investigations and preparations. And we're hoping that we will, obviously we have to tender out and what have you, but we're hoping that we can get the same people back or people of that calibre.
Yeah.
Because we're Grade 1 listed, we have to work with specialists.
Yes, yeah.
We have to replace like with like. So our roof is made of Cotswold stone slates. So we've got to replace them with Cotswold stone slates. We can't sort of go, we can't get them and go and get Welsh slate. We have to replace like for like, which has its challenges.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you're project managing this as well.
I'm not project managing this. I'm project managing phase 2.
Right. Okay.
So I will freely admit I'm a curator on like objects and that kind of stuff. I'm learning an awful lot about historic buildings and heritage construction, but I'm not experienced enough in this field to project manage this. So we have just tendered out. We've just posted a tender for project manager. We will be tendering out for a lead consultant as well. There are conditions, obviously, with that in regards to sort of heritage experience and conservation accreditation. And we're hoping to get those on board by the end of September.
Right.
And then we can start. And like you said, we are going to have to close. So what we're looking at doing is we're just in the process of trying to secure a temporary site where we can move the Tourist Information Centre to, move the shop, and we can have a sort of a pop-up museum as well. So we can still showcase some of our key objects, but it's also a place where we can talk to people about the project and about what's happening, because we don't want to just shut the doors and shroud the building and then ignore everybody for 3 years.
No, because you're one of our signposters, to the tourists and the visitors that come to our town. And you signpost people, this is places to eat, this is a hotel, this is, it's really important that we keep a tourist information.
But I also firmly believe that, although the town council own this museum, it's not the town council's museum. This museum belongs to Evesham.
Yeah,
it belongs to the
community.
Yeah, and certainly as we move into phase 2, which I'm just kind of preparing at the moment, I want to involve the people of Evesham in the development of phase 2 as much as possible. So phase 2 is doing the nice stuff inside, which is going to be the new displays, the new stories. So I want to be working with different groups, different people, businesses, organisations.
Maybe schools as well.
Schools, could be care homes, could be a wide range of people, working with people from all different communities across Evesham.
That's really good.
To find out what stories do you want us to tell and how do you want us to tell them? I'm a firm believer that you don't need to have a room full of objects to tell a story. You can have a single object. And a single object can tell a myriad of stories. It just depends on your angle.
Yeah.
So phase 2 will be very much, it's called co-curation. And it will be very much led through co-curation about what we're doing. Yeah. And that will help dictate some of the stories that we tell and how we tell them.
Sounds brilliant.
And then from that, we'll be developing, new displays. We'll get lovely, nice new cases. Not just because they're lovely, nice new cases, but nice new cases will mean that the objects can be displayed better in better environmental conditions. So that guarantees, sort of the care of those collections and what have you. So it's yet another big project, and it's yet another big funding bid that's got to go in to get that done. And yet more fundraising, and yet more,
So I think we might be having you on the podcast again.
It does sound like we're constantly going out with a begging bowl, but without it, we won't have a museum.
Well, this is what the community there for. We, call to arms, and there's these phases that you go through with the fundraising that you can reach out to the community. And I'm sure that, we value, I know from being here 25 years, I've taken my son there growing up. We've been there in the summer holidays and all the different themed activities that you do, which we love. I know you've got some at the moment, haven't you, over the summer holidays?
We've got a whole range of children's family events over the summer holidays. We're also doing some fundraising events. So this weekend we'll have a stand down at the Battle of Evesham. Yeah. But on Saturday night we've got a talk with Wayne Perkins talking about medieval graffiti, or what people know as witch marks. Yeah. In September we're doing a couple of pilgrim walks with Evesham Walkers Are Welcome. And later in September, we have got an exclusive Henson gin tasting event.
Oh, lovely.
And they are actually they're crafting as a special gin.
Wow.
Just for
sounds interesting.
So all these things are, we'll be starting to push them out and launching them in the next couple of couple of weeks.
And if anybody wants to know what's going on with the Almonry, please do follow the Almonry Museum Facebook page, because you do keep everybody up to date. They're quite good. They let us know what's going on. And so when the changes happen and the Almonry does have to close its doors, but the new venue, temporary location, will be open, you can follow all that online, and Evesham Notice Board will be sharing that out as well. But I just wanted to ask you what inspires you actually to do this career, this choice that you do, because you talk about it as if it's like your home, which is so lovely, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but the Almonry is like yours. And no, I know it's a communities, but you're so passionate about it. It's so lovely that I just wonder what inspires you to.
I literally fell in love with it the minute I saw it. So I applied for the job. Admittedly,
because you didn't come from the area, right?
I'm not from the area. I'm from Leicester, so I knew about Simon de Montfort before I moved here, because everything in Leicester is de Montfort. And I applied for the job. I got invited for an interview, and I thought I better go and see where this place is and see what's there. And I drove down the high street and I saw the Almonry, and I got my mum in the car with me, and I just said, "That's mine. I'm having that." Yeah. And I've got a passion for medieval history. I specialised in medieval history at university.
Which is good for Mick as well, isn't it? So this is why you two have collaborated, I suppose.
I always wanted English Heritage to give me a castle. They never had the foresight to do so. They never had the foresight to do so. So to be able to care for a medieval building, I see it as a great honour, a pleasure and an honour, and I do love it. I wish those walls could talk. Yes. I really do, because the stories they could tell. And that's partly what's exciting about this project, is because we've got to take so much off. We can find out so much more about not just the construction of it, but we might be able to find more about the history of it. And just discover new things. And it's quite terrifying, but it's exciting more than anything. Really exciting.
Well, it's going to be it's in good, capable hands. So I'm sure it's going to be fun. Do you think there's any spirits or ghosts in there? I know you get asked this a lot.
Yeah, I don't believe in anything like that. Having worked at a museum and having to stay overnight while we did a celebrity most haunted with Derek Acora. No, I don't believe in it at all. I think it's...
Well, I think they must have been a mile when he goes anyway. Like, not him.
I don't believe in it. No. Lots of people do. And if that's, how they feel connected to the building, then absolutely we welcome that.
Yeah, there's a vibe, I suppose. Some people feel, don't they? Or that's how they feel, that there's a.
I will say though, if you feel a slight breeze running over your neck or something, it's probably a draft through one of the holes in the walls.
Brilliant. So it's really important for you guys, and for you actually, to see the Battle of Evesham, what Mick has done, Mick and his team have done, and you as well, to bring back this historical event, this historical moment to Evesham. And that's important to you as well, isn't it? For the tourism side. And
I think any celebration of the history of this town, and any opportunity we can have to showcase what we've got, it should be taken with, grabbed by both hands. We need to showcase what we have. We need to celebrate what we have. And I think what Mick has done with the Battle, I was involved early on, what Mick has done since I moved on, he's taken it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And I think that should absolutely be applauded.
Yeah.
And I think that there's scope to do so much more with other elements of our history. We've already got the gardens, the Abbey Trust have created, which are so beautiful and so peaceful. And every time I've been in,
is that where the allotments were?
Yeah,
sorry,
inside through the cloister arch, and every time you go in there, there's always somebody, at least one or two people, just sat there, just quietly just contemplating, and it's beautiful. You know, you've got all the kids running around in the park, and then this beautiful, quiet, contemplative space that was within.
So you can go in there now, can't you?
You can go in there
it's
now.
open to the
It's
public.
open to the public now, and it's lovely, really beautiful. And again, it's just a celebration of our history and what we have. And I'm proud to be part of it, and to keep pushing it and promoting it, and let's get people into town. And it's not just about attracting people from outside town, it's getting locals in as well. Let's get the locals in celebrating. We saw it with the Love Evesham Day.
Yeah.
How many people just turned up? You know, I mean, fortunately, it was such it was a beautiful.
We were lucky.
It was
it
was a beautiful day, and I do think the Walls ice creams helped. But just to get all those people out and about into town, talking, buzzing, enjoying themselves, you know, it's, again, it just shows that there are some really good things about Evesham, and I think that's what we should celebrate that as well.
Yes, no, I totally agree, and I'd like to thank you both for coming on the podcast, The Vale Matters, for sharing your experiences and your knowledge, and just, you know, the reasons you do what you do. And on behalf of Evesham, I can't really speak on behalf of Evesham, but on behalf of all our followers, I'm sure they'll all agree that we'd like to thank Mick and his team for the Battle of Evesham and everything that you do and the fun that you create. Well done. It is absolutely amazing, phenomenal, and all the luck. You've got all our support, and there's lots of people out there that will be supporting you for the future. And if anybody wants to know more about sponsorship or being part of next year's event, then get in touch with Mick direct. There's also the Battle of Evesham website, which is thebattleofevesham.co.uk.
That's it.
Very simple, isn't it? Yeah, nice and simple. So you can go on there, and he's got those t-shirts look awesome. You can see the branding, and also they're on Facebook and Instagram, and then also the Almonry have their own Facebook and website, and you can keep in touch with those. And Ashley, thank you so much for securing that funding and securing the future of our Tourism Information Centre, and most importantly our history.
Can I just say, from the 1st of August, we're going free entry.
It's free entry,
for
everybody.
Everybody from the 1st of August.
From the 1st of August. So that's making summer holidays a lot easier for families as well. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming into the podcast. And thank you to Howden Insurance on Vine Street, and also Bradford's Carpets and Flooring for sponsoring us and helping us make this event. But most importantly, thank you to you, our listeners, for taking your time out to listen to our podcast. Thanks. Bye.